This is our next installment of MMA Fight Talk. MMA Cheddar? Yes. I have some critically massive fights this evening. They're in Scotiabank. Scotiabank, for y'all that don't know, is in Toronto, Ontario. Toronto, Canada, where I often grew up and went to buy a pack of Dumayes, and pick up some Labatt's Blue, or Labatt's 21, or Labatt's whatever. Delicious Molson Canadian beer, I've sort of lost that. It was clear, being a child on the border, the Canadian attributes. Their speech, their accent, their actions. And when I watch Furious Pete, shout out to Furious Pete! He's an eating dude that's survived and battled cancer and filmed it all. I mean, his chemo treatments and everything. Also a weightlifter, power lifter. So he's turned into a big dude. He's been on the internet for a decade. Trevor loves him. But he has competitive eating videos. Ish, right? I don't think he's ever been a competitive eater, but he eats all the eating challenges. And he's a pretty giant YouTuber. Furious Pete! But he's a Canadian, Lives outside of Toronto, He could go over there to Scotiabank, with Doug and Bob McKenzie and their dog Shithead, and watch some MMA fighting. Yeah, okay, Not a giant arena, from what I recall. I think Bill and Hillary Clinton just they opened their 13-city tour there in Scotiabank, even though it was half empty. I think it sits 10 to 12 to 15,000, something like that. Not huge. I don't know who plays there. Maybe the Toronto Blue Jays, right? I don't know. Or one of the Canadian hockey teams, the Toronto Maple Leafs. My Toronto Maple Leafs sweater, Philippe Rocket Richard. All I wanted when I was a child was my Rocket Richard, my Montreal Canadien, Toronto Maple Leafs sweater. Dude, if you didn't grow up watching Hockey Night in Canada, you lost, you missed, you were out. Oh my God. Welcome to Hockey Night in Canada. Toronto Maple Leafs sweater. Dude, Canadians, small, weird, the Great White North, all that shit. The stupid television show from Colorado that my friend David Wilhelm, shout out to my boy David Wilhelm, love it. South Park, remember? Blame Canada. Yeah, Davey loves South Park. And they smashed Canada. Canada's awesome, but it's no place. It's nobody's. Known a lot of Canadians, had Canadian neighbors, awesome people, good people. It's a beautiful place. The Canadian Mounties, the great police force, Dudley Do-Right of the Mounties, But I wouldn't want to live there. I've known relatives that live there. It's always cold, mostly. Nobody wants to live in Canada. Toronto's okay. King Street, Queen Street. Scotiabank, I don't know. And I don't know how I've just spent 4 minutes talking about non-MMA cheddar. Non-fight talk. But it's in Canada tonight. And it starts at 10 o'clock, fucking Eastern time. Dude, I can't stay up for these fights. The main card of 5 fights starts at 10. Oh my God. Oh, it's too late. And the older I get, the harder it is to stay up to watch this crap, especially when you pay for it. $64.99 or whatever the fuck it is. I got high def now, $94.99 for super high def stupid definition. So they come on at like 12:30, your co-main and your main. But you sort of can't miss this fucking fight. If you're in the fight enjoyment, hobby, watching, biz, game, whatever, if you're in boxing, if you wrestle, if you're a mixed martial artist, if you take some form of martial arts, wushu, shout out to my boy Kevin. Out in Colorado, Kevin McLaughlin, who owns his own goddamn dojo. And if you need to, he'll show you like videos kicking at the Great Wall. He did the eagle eye or the phoenix eye on me in the hall one day. Almost like blew out my eyeball. I was like, Kevin, just stop it. And he's like, no, I could have blown out your head. The 5-finger death punch or whatever out of Quentin Tarantino. Remember when Uma Thurman did that to David Carradine? Kwai Chang Caine? Oh! And he spit a little blood up. Hey, Kwai Ton taught you the 5-finger punch of death? Of course he did. And I just used it on you. Woo! Those were good movies, man. Tarantino's stupid karate movies. Hey, 1 and 2. Yeah, they were strange. Anyway, I digress. So, shout out to all the people I've shouted out to. But, yeah. If you're in any of those realms of martial art, pugilism, wrestling, anything, kickboxing, boxing, whatever you do, and you're not watching these fights tonight, you better be laid up in the hospital or partying with, like, I don't know who. Like, I don't know, the rock stars. Partying with Prince. Hey, what a loss, huh? Partying with Michael Jackson. Ooh, partying with somebody huge, Adam Levine. You better be on the fucking Voice or something. Because if you miss this fight, which you can always watch for free on the internet, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a smart move, and I hate you. Because that's usually what I'm compelled to do. Instead of drop the $84.79, 99 cents, but I'm going to buy them, I think, and watch them. I don't know. I play this little mental game because it's a waste of $65, $64.99, but it's not a waste. I like football. I could do without it. I don't really watch basketball anymore, though I'll tell you what, I watched the NC State 1983 win with Joey V. Holy shit, dude. Awesome run. And I forgot about all that, and I lived it. I remember it. I remember watching that fucking championship game shot. Air ball, jumps up in front of the net, dunks it in. The nobody on the team, who's now deceased, and was on the 30 for 30, which I watched. 30 for 30, the early years, the first 7 years, epic. This was the NC State over Houston College, University of Houston championships. And it was prior to the 3-point line. It was prior to the shot clock. Houston had Akeem Olajuwon, Clyde the Glide Drexler, who looked like a full-grown, seasoned NBA player. Had a fro, the giant beard, just a huge muscular man, would float in the air. That run in the final 16, Sweet 16, he cut to the net and jumped over. I don't know who it was. Maybe it was against Villanova. He was known for his epic, Jordan-esque slams in college. I mean, he was the pre-Jordan Jordan. While Jordan was still at North Carolina, and was not what he became. Great ball player, but not the Michael Jordan of the NBA. Drexler goes at this dude and goes over him. Small white dude, one of the guards or whatever. Over him. Crotch over his head. And you're like, oh, that was the Final Four game. When it was, I think it was Villanova against Houston, and NC State beat, not Samson and Virginia. I don't know who they beat. North Carolina with Michael Jordan, they'd lost. They lost and didn't make it to the Final Four. I don't even know if they made it to the 8. I think they lost in the 8s. But my God. Awesome. I watched that and I was like, and if you talk to all the guys on there, that was when basketball, as basketball that was real, ended. And that team, the Houston the Houston, which should have been championship, NCAA championship team, they were the team that actually changed the game. They created that run and gun where all they did was slam. So, and nowadays that's what it is. It's massive shouts from the outside. The three-point line now goes into the locker room. You watch like the Golden State and little what's-his-nut, little skinny kid. I can't even remember his name right now. My head is not working fast enough, and I haven't finished my caffeine. He stands like, when you walk out into the gym, he stands there and shoots threes. They're like 110-footers. And you're either inside with giant slams with this indestructible backboard that you have anymore where you can't rip it down, or you're shooting from non-visibility. You're not visible to the cameras on the floor and you're making your three. And don't get me wrong, that's exciting, but that's not basketball anymore. And I'll tell you, that whole evolution, with the USA team, we had the great USA team, and then we lost with all the, superstars. That was the evolution. And what happened? Europe and the Slavs and the Spanish and the Chinese, a lot of these guys, and the Africans, Hakeem Olajuwon, they all started to come in, and the whole game changed. And it turned into, just like football, it turned into this elite game of size and speed and strength and showmanship. But prior to that, man, it was still a game. And it's weird. It wasn't, it probably, and this is a very bad view, my view, which is all I had, but it didn't seem to be colored. And when I say colored, it didn't seem to be biased. And I think it was probably that way, I would expect, because it was still predominantly white, even though a majority of basketball players were becoming black. And that's when, that era, the 80s, when Jimmy the Greek said, look, man, the blacks are better athletes. Slavery caused this. And oh boy, they booted the Greek and it all went south. And he was trying to tell the truth. He's trying to be straight. It's like, they're better athletes. Naturally, they're gifted. It's the truth. Yeah, weird. But I watched that and it was epic. Jim Valvano, dude. And then the guy 10 years later has cancer, dies. He has the gift of gab. He's some crazy New York Italian. Those kids all loved him. He loved all those kids. Loved his own kids. And then Dick Vitale at the 2003. Well, I don't know when it was. See, and I don't understand the date. I don't remember when he died. They won in 83. I think in 93 he had cancer in him. And I don't know if it took 10 years. I think it was the 2003 ESPYs where he went up on stage for the last time and died like months later. And Dick Vitale made him go on stage. He said, Dick, I'm sick. I'm not going to travel. And Vitale was like, dude, you got to go here. And by that time, he had been in broadcasting for a number of years because of all of the injustices and the offenses that supposedly occurred where they forced him out of NC State, right? Because he had ticket scalping and the selling of goods, all this shit. It started that long ago, 83, 84, 85. And they all do it now. And they're all busted for it now. If they're not Sandusky, touching boys, then they're paying off players. There's no amateur status. Those kids are getting tons of money, kickbacks. There's a huge machine to try to get them to go to those schools. It's been going on for basketball and football forever. Not so much for baseball, not so much for hockey, but it's in both of those too. It's the machine, man. When it's making billions of dollars, you're kidding yourself. Just like, oh look, Olympic gymnastics. The Carollis, for a decade or more, looked past some asshole doctor molesting the gymnasts, you fucking monsters, because they wanted the best program. Fucking unbelievable, dude. Makes you sick. Anyway, yeah, that was an awesome 30 for 30. Watch it, damn! I think it was 2009, 2007, 2000 something. Awesome one. And that was unbelievable basketball. God damn, that was good stuff. And then it all changed. It's all changed. MMA though, refreshing. I love it. Boxing, remember how tainted it got with Don King? Oh, and that machine queered and got sort of sickening, and oh god. And you had bout fixing, and you had, a couple of weird deaths, and they still make shit tons of money. We just saw that with Tyson Fury, Deontay. And so, good for them. But tonight, it is UFC 231. I don't know how I thought it was 229 or something. My UFCs are fucking out of whack. 231 at the Scotiabank Center. Scotiabank Arena. So maybe Furious Pete will be there. Maybe he'll film it if he's not a bitch. No, you're not a bitch, FP. He's got that 400-pound weight that you try to pick up. A 400-pound dumbbell. Like, come on. Biggest dumbbell in the world. So I think I will be watching. I think it's going to be epic. If you're not watching and you're in any involvement or have any enjoyment with the fight games, then you're silly. You better be doing something epic. And I trust you will be. Otherwise, I think you would be watching this. The early prelims, they start at 6, right? I think you got an FS1, or even Fight Pass. Fucking Fight Pass. Who bought Fight Pass? Can anyone answer that for me? Does anyone, do any of you, or does anyone you've ever talked to have a membership to Fight Pass? I'm going to spend money to see early prelims and then watch all the repeats and then see like bios on fighters and all the shit from the Tough and from Dana White and from, all these offshoots that they have for these crappy TV shows. Fuck Fight Pass, you twats. Trying to make more money off the bazillion-dollar machine. And out of those, I think the only one that looked to me to be okay was Diego Ferreira, which I've seen fight before. A little Brazilian dude. If you haven't seen him, I think he's a welter, maybe, or a middle welter, I think. Bantam, I don't know. But he is a spitfire, and he throws. Diego Lima's out there with Chad Laprise. I don't know. I've seen Lima fights up and down. They got some Alexander Rakic. I don't know who that guy is against Devin Clark. I haven't seen either of them. I think Diego Ferreira, he's fighting Kyle Nelson. He's going to mangle him. Just saying. And then Brad Katana against Matthew Lopez. I don't know who either of those guys are. Katana sounds like he's a Hawaiian or something, maybe. Like my boy Max. Don't know. Dude, the prelims that start at 8. These are some big fights, man. This entire fucking fight card of 11 fights, which that has almost always made it worth the $65. You have a full 6 or 7 or 8 hours of fights, man. 6-1. That's insane. What other sport ever gives you that? And then we as, participants, consumers, viewers, advocates, hobbyists, people that like it. It's too long. Don't watch it all. Fuck, dude. Whatever. It's one thing you gotta admit, they did right. That's what the UFC did right, man. They chunked together a night of bloodletting, a night of brutality, like sitting in front of watching Gladiator. How long did they fight in the Coliseum? You traveled in there and they served food and shit, and everybody had to fill it up. That thing was huge, and it was all by foot, right? And I don't know how many thousand that thing held. And then, what was his name? He held, Caesar or whomever held 100 days of games. And so you go in there, and I don't think they only recreated one battle or held, they had a day worth of gladiator fights to the death. Oh. God, those Romans. Brilliant. You got Elias Theodorou. If you don't know the dude, he's a big, giant, bulky Greek dude with long hair. I mean, he's your Greek god, Adonis. He's got ink on him. Or maybe not. He might not be tatted up. Good looking dude. He puts his hair in like a pony or a braid. I've seen it in a man bun. He's fighting Eric Anders, the ex-NFL player who got mangled because he took 2 weeks' notice, I think, over in China or one of these recent fight nights. And I can't recall who it was against it. I think it was a Brazilian. But it was ballsy because he's only had 4 or 5 fights in the UFC. I'm not saying he's not a great fighter. I'm not saying he's not a great athlete. He's clearly had combat preparation his entire life. probably in junior or pee-wee football, and high school football, and college football, and then and he was probably a multi-sport individual. Big, solid, good-looking dude. He looks biracial. He's not all black. He's got lighter skin. He's got light features. Still a mountain. Still covered in ink. Eric Anders. I don't know who he played for. I want to say Minnesota. I think that's wrong. I think he was in the NFL a number of years, and he's out now. And he's in the fight game like the rest. Like, you know, there's a handful of these dudes. Matt, what the hell's his name? Millick? I don't know. He's done it, and he got mangled a few times, but he won some good fights. But this Eric Anders is the newest guy to be, you know, one of the newest guys to be this NFL. And it's not. There's another guy that's fighting here, and it was a pretty controversial story, and I didn't bring it up because one of these gals fighting in here, and I think it's Caitlin Chikugian, I don't know. One of them just got beat up pretty badly by her partner in the last 6 months. She was, and I don't want to call it spousal, I don't know if they're married, but she was definitely domestically abused. He broke her orbital bone, he beat the crap out of her, and she was supposed to be in a fight. And I can't recall who it is in here. It was one of the female fighters. And they had to postpone the fight. I think it was Caitlin Chikugian against Jessica Ai. They were slotted to fight earlier, like 4 months ago, and her partner beat the shit out of her. And she had medical treatment, and she prosecuted against her partner or whatever. I don't know what happened with the outcome of that. You know, there was a domestic violence call. He was arrested, all that junk. She was hauled off to the hospital. And also, or maybe it isn't this fight tonight. Maybe it's another one. It's an upcoming one. I think it's an upcoming bout this month or something. Maybe it's not Caitlin Chikugian, but there's a female fighter and there's a ex-NFL player who's fighting on the card. And I think maybe it's at the end of this month or it's in January. Very controversial. It was all over the news recently, but subdued because it's not top news. The NFL fighter's on the same card with her, and he was convicted of domestic abuse. So he beat the hell out of his girlfriend or something. And he was 4, 5, 8 years in the NFL. And now he's out, much like my man Eric Anders, and he's in the UFC. These guys go into combat sport. They're fit, they're violent, they're aggressive, and it transfers over to a number of these cats who are multi-sport participants at an elite level. Enough to go to the professionals on one of them and possibly on multiples. They're that good. Those are the kids that are coming into the sporting arenas these days. We see it. We have the machines in place that groom that type of output at every level, starting with 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. And this guy's on the same card, and everybody said either the UFC and Dana White are fucking monsters, completely insensitive, or they're morons. They put this moron NFL guy convicted of abuse on the same card as this chick that got beat to dust. What are you doing? I think that was a bit of an oversight by Dana. But that's the kind of shit, those are the soft components that I would not be surprised or, I would not be amazed that he was caught off guard by that. Somebody in the marketing, somebody in the human resource, somebody in the fighter interest, and they have the entire, what's it called, the PI or the IP or whatever institute down in Vegas. I know that focuses primarily on the genetic, bio, and sport medicine aspects of a fighter, but there's also counseling and all kinds of other shit where they do, any type of aspect of a fighter's life. Not only in combat, but outside of combat. Training, rehabilitation, mental preparation, coping mechanisms for losses, for family separation, for fighting harder, fighting through injury, all that stuff. Somebody should have recognized, dude, this is a bad call. You're putting this football player who beat his girlfriend up on the same card as this gal that got pummeled. So that was bad press. It sort of disappeared quickly. I don't think anybody cares. I don't think a lot of people care about the UFC, other than the people that enjoy the fights. And that stuff's not going to cause... It's a combat sport. It's not going to cause issue. You don't have insensitives. You don't have, not insensitives, you don't have hypersensitives. And you've got some groups or factions that'll point it out. There's so many other areas modern day right now where you can find much deeper inroads and have much more publicity and make much bigger noise and have much more impact, right? With sexuality, with the gays, lesbians, bis, trans, whatever. Domestic violence has always been, it's bigger now, but it's always been, removed. I hear an ad on NPR, I think, or something, and it's about domestic violence. And this woman says everyone should have the right to live with and love a spouse that doesn't abuse them. Yeah, it's not a right. It's your own personal choice. And if, you've never been privy to or experienced or involved with through your parents, through a partner or anything, domestic violence, it's very hard to understand that mentality of an abuser and an abusee, and why they stick together and why the cycle continues and how it escalates and how sometimes you have violence ending in death, either in the male or the female part. Brutal, horrible, and always needs to be discussed, and it's unfortunate on whatever card that is that came up. But this fucking card tonight, dude, you got Elias Teodoro against Eric Anders. Eric Anders is a monster. He's not great yet in technique, but he's a freak. He's one of your superhuman freaks, which is why he was at the top level of football. Very solid professional, which is why he's a top level athlete. Can come into the MMA game, transfer a lot of those attributes. Has power, has aggressiveness, is wily and smart. Is learning technique every progressive course, study, training session that he does. So he's getting better. And this Teodoro, I don't know, he's sort of a weird guy. Tough and got good skills. I think he's more of a submission guy, not a huge striker. Gets on the ground, does groundwork, likes to clinch. And he's bulky and he's strong and he's big. But he's not a stand-up just throwing it and killing it. So I don't know how this thing's going to go, because you've got Anders, who's a striker. He throws the leather. He gets you on the ground, do ground and pound. I think he was a wrestler in college, high school, don't know. Before he went, pro football. This guy's a rounded freak. He's one of those type. Teodoro, more one-dimensional, but still got pretty good skills. So that's going to be a sick fight. Jessica Ai against Caitlin Chukugian. I think it'll be a decent fight. I don't think either of those are bruisers. They're not your punch your head out, punch your head off, beat you bloody. But I've seen both of them fight, and I think they're both skilled. They're both able. They have good mixed martial arts skill sets. Striking, standing on the feet, and also submitting, takedowns and submissions. So that should be a decent fight. I don't know. I bet it'll be a 3-rounder with decision. The Eric Anders, Teodoro, watch out, dude. If Anders hits, these are big boys. They're middleweights, so they got some size. And Anders throws with power. Oh. So that could be a knockout or a chokeout. But it could go 3 rounds if they come in and they're not as aggressive. They feel each other out. You got Olivier Aubin-Mercier against Gilbert Burns. Dude, that's going to be a tough one. Aubin-Mercier he's a murderer. That guy comes in and throws. And he's a big, solid dude. French-Canadian. Gilbert Burns, I think I've seen once or twice. Nothing of great expertise that stands out, but a scrapper. Goes in there, has a great chin, and throws. I expect Aubin-Mercier to win that at home with the home crowd. I think he's going to feed off of it. I think it's going to be awesome. He's either going to knock this dude out or he's going to choke him out. And that should be a good fight. I don't think there's going to be a decision in that. I would hope not. And then you got Claudia Gadelha against Nina Ansaroff. Dude, Claudia Gadelha is a killer. She's a little pit bull. I think she's going to mangle Nina Ansaroff. So you got the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expert against the striker. Dude! That's the undercard. That's the prelims. Those are fucking awesome fights. Gedalia throws bombs. She's got a whole thick little body. She gets in there, throws loopers, throws uppercuts. She's got kicks. She's got BJJ. She can take you down, choke you out. She can put you in a leg lock or an arm bar. Fuck. Gedalia's a freak. And they're little straw weights. That's gonna be, I don't think that'll go 3 rounds. I think Gedalia may take shots from Ansarov, which I've always seen. Gedalia's got a good chin. Her face gets beat up, gets bloodied, and she still keeps coming in throwing. And she's primarily a striker. She's evolved into this little thick monster of striking. But with the golden snitch and the dismissal and removal of rampant steroid use, I don't know what Gedalia's gonna look like. I haven't seen her in a while. She was a little spark plug, a little fucking, pit bull, built like a little shit house and would pound you to death. I would expect her to be somewhat deflated, and she doesn't have the power that she had. We'll have to see. She's definitely going to come in with the side of her head shaved and then the long hair with some Brazilian ugliness. And that thing, I don't expect that to go the full 3 rounds. Somebody's going to get their head ripped off, knocked out, or choked out. It's going to be tap out. So that's fucking awesome. And then the main card. Dude, main card. This main card's insane. Yeah, this is a wingding. This baby's Manoa against Thiago Santos. I don't recall a fight when Thiago Santos didn't come in, throw like they said, fight or die. Gladiator, fight or die. And then with a bloodied brain, his face pounded in on most of his fights, unless it ended early, which he had some early knockouts. It went to a mess. He got tired. Maybe there was a takedown. Maybe he choked the dude out. Maybe the guy knocked him out. I don't recall a slow, quiet, soft fight from Thiago Santos. He's an animal, and Jimmy Manuwa's an animal. Quick pick, I'd say Thiago's going to smoke this fool. I think he's going to beat him. He's going to knock him out or choke him out. Hit him, hurt him, take him down, rear naked choke him. Not a big guillotine guy, I don't think. And I don't think that's going to go the full 3. No. Those guys throw with mean intention. Light heavies, big dudes, 205s, just killing it. At 205, with arms and legs like those two, you don't take shots without you're losing a portion of whatever you are. Like, it's like playing fucking Mortal Kombat. Your line goes down. Yeah, that's the same. You got Hakeem Dawodu against Kyle Bochniak. I think those two guys are the featherweights, they're little dudes, and these are a couple of the up and comers. Which right now, if we looked at their records, they've got a number of really exciting fights. This Hakeem Dawodu. He's definitely African, it sounds like, and I think I've seen some of the highlights from him. He's a freak in there, skinny, wiry dude. They're featherweights. This Kyle Bochniak, I don't recall. So I don't know how that fight's going to go, and I don't want to predict it, but I think it's probably going to be exciting. I hope. That's why they're on the main card. Dude, you got Alex Oliveira against Gunnar Nelson. The Cowboy against Gunnar Nelson, the fucking Viking. And if you haven't watched Alex Oliveira, dude, I've never seen a fight. Dude, there are a few Brazilians that don't go in there with intent to kill. That machine down there breeds those dudes to take you out, get the fight, get the win, get the bonus check, go home, train, do it again. Yeah, and Alex Oliveira is no different. Friendly, good-loving guy. He's older. I think he's in his mid-30s, late 30s. He's wiry. He's always oily. He comes in with a sick attitude. He throws sick strikes. He's got great movement. He's got good submissions. He's got good ground and pound. He's got good cage awareness, grappling, pressure. Fuck. Gunnar Nelson is not that. Gunnar Nelson's a karate style dude. He stands back and he'll strike and he comes at you with weird angles. he better be on top of his game. He better be training with my boy that's going to fight John Jones at the end of this month. Better be training heavy duty with him over there. Alexander Gustafsson. They better be kicking it up a notch. I've seen Gunnar Nelson come in top and then come in soft and get smoked. So I don't know who's going to show up, but I think I would put my money on Alex Oliveira. Cowboy's going to ride away in the sunset again. That dude's a fiend. See, like sort of timeless. We'll have to see. That's not going to go 3 rounds. Bang! And the co-main. Shevchenko against Jędrzejczyk. So you got Valentina Shevchenko, who is one of the top of the line flyweight strikers in the women's division around the world. Got a good chin, got exceptional boxing, falls in line with your Russian, whatever, Ukrainian, wherever the fuck she's from, insane strikers. Just stands and throws, got great technique against another great world-class female striker, boxer, Joanna Champion Jędrzejczyk, who's been training down here in Hollywood, Florida, America's Top Team or whatever, ATT, and she's a fiend. Exceptional striking skills, exceptional boxing skills, quick hands, great technique, great distance, great movement, good vision, great combinations, insane jab, snaps a teeny, skinny little bra, snaps the jab off, pops your head back, pop, boom, follows it up, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 with a kick. She goes, throws a left, right, and a low kick, left, right, high kick. Oh, she'll throw a knee down the middle. She's been pummeled in a number of her recent fights, and she is on a diminishing curve. She's on a downward slope because she ran into the freak out in Colorado. She ran into some of the small girls from Brazil that beat her head in and softened up her jaw. She doesn't have the jaw that she used to have, but this last fight against Thug Rose Namajunas, which I don't know if that was her last fight. I don't think it was. I think that was 2 fights ago for her, maybe. We could bring it up. We should bring it up. She's the number 1, and Shevchenko is not. Joanna, she fought Namajunas better in the second fight, and I don't think Namajunas, if she did choke her out, knock her out, it was in the 4th or 5th round, as opposed to that first fight when Namajunas ran through her, just destroyed her. It looked like T.J. Dillashaw fighting Henan Barrow. I mean, 2 different fighters, and you're like, whoa. And the one fighter has the other fighter's number. You're like, this is not going to go well. And the one fighter that has the number peppers and pounds the other fighter who's never going to give up until you beat them senseless. And so it's brutal. It's tough to watch the expertise of somebody just totally commanding another fighter, but not in a grotesque, brutal, quick singular event where they have some kind of rush or they catch you with a shot and then finish it. It's a slow, destructive breakdown of another fighter in all aspects of technique. And it starts with something like distance. Their timing's better, their distance is better, and they start to catch you. And then they know it. So they're throwing that jab and then the follow-up, jab and follow-up. You do that for 5 minutes where it's 60, 80 consecutive strikes, significant strikes, and now that other fighter's diminished. And the fighter that's on top really starts to find their position and find their place and aggressively beat the shit out of the other fighter. Those are tough fights. They're exciting. They're beautiful to watch, to see someone who's evolved and their technique's now better at this level. But it's brutal to watch that fighter. And that's what happened with Rafael dos Anjos. And I watched it in that last fight that we did MMA Chatter on. Yeah, he got beat by Usamar, the Nigerian Nightmare. And it was sad to watch because he just got dismantled over a number of rounds, and you hate to see that. But that's the fucking fight game, man. They're not evenly matched. They're closely matched, and clearly the one fighter has come in on top, at least tonight. And that's good, because that gives you faith that if there's ever a follow-up or you have a rematch or they compete again because they're close at the top for ranking, you're going to have another barn burner. And it's not the kind of barn burner where you get somebody who goes in and smashes someone. And it's not the kind of fight where you're like, oh, God, 3 rounds of this? It's brutal fight technique. It's brutal physical and mental warfare with exceptional fitness and tenacity. And they've got they've trained hard. So it's not like they gas in the second or the third round or whatever. They have 100% through the whole round, even though the person that's getting pummeled is continually trying to fight through it. Oh, those are tough. Those are brutal to watch. That to me is the epitome of the mixed martial arts excellence. When you see someone use that technique to dominate another fighter over a number of periods, a number of rounds, and you go, my God, it's not a lucky shot. It's not getting caught. It's not due to weight loss or fatigue. It's due to being outskilled by a better fighter at that time, at that moment, for that night. And you have a choice. If your brain's not destroyed because you took so many shots to the head, you can go home, revamp, modify your training, enhance your fight skills, get better. And then you got like a lot of those cats in Team Alpha Male. They never evolved. Cody Garbrandt talked a big game. It was all psychological, but for some reason did not evolve his game to be able to walk in there with Dillashaw with explicit techniques to address the shortcomings of TJ ruining him. And that first fight wasn't really fair to say, because if you recall, Garbrandt caught Dillashaw in that first round and knocked him down. Garbrandt's got a little hand of stone for a small dude. Knocked TJ down on his ass, put his hands back, wobbled around, got up, and then TJ mauled him. And I think Uriah and that alpha male team said, you got this. This time he's not going to get up when you knock him down. Not enough against TJ Dillashaw. Guy's got Dwayne Bang Ludwig and all the top-notch experts. They're teaching him new shit every day. He trains with people like me. He goes to classes, enrolls, and does BJJ, open classes. I walk into the gym, there's TJ Dillashaw. You do a rotation, I roll with him. He dumbs his game down, works on fundamentals with the person off the street, goes in, has an elite training session with a striker, a grappler, a fucking ground and pounder, a fitness expert. Those are the facets of expertise in his mind. Deep. And I don't know why they didn't do that with Garbrandt, and I don't know if they do that. I think they do out in Alpha Male. Alpha Male's got some fucking animals. Ooh, guillotine killers. But never shaped up for world championships. So, I don't know who's going to win this. And I don't know what's... Joanna, I hope, comes out throwing, and I hope she's sharp. I think these girls are going to beat each other's head in. I think it's going to go 5 rounds, maybe. I don't think somebody's going to get knocked out. If somebody gets knocked out, I think it's going to be Jacek, because I don't think she has the chin that she's had. But I don't think this is going to be a quiet fight of peppers. This is going to get ugly. And if you're not ready for this fucking thing, this is not a game of skill. It is, but these are both elite top athletes, and they're both elite top strikers. This is going to be a game of will. Jacek has got to dig deep and find it in her to pound the fuck out of Shevchenko. She's got it in her. She was the champion for a while. She was Ronda Rousey at the little weight. So, I don't know what's going to happen, but fuck, if you ain't excited for that shit, yeah, I don't know. Go watch roller derby. Get the fuck out of here. That's going to be a sick one. Going to be a sick one. I get right now, but these, I get, whoo, oh, it's coming. And then you got the main event. And I'm not going to go into details on Max Holloway and Brian Ortega. I've talked enough about him. I hope Holloway's healthy. I hope his weight cutting for this camp has gone well. Clearly, he's had issues in the past with weight cutting. As I talked about in the past, the last episode where he went kooky, and if you didn't watch it or you didn't see it, you can YouTube it. Michael Bisping's talking to him. He's slurring his words. He can't make coherent sentences. He's not thinking straight. He's not looking straight. His eyes are droopy. He looks like he's impaired, like he's on drugs. And he wasn't. He was out of it. So I hope this went well. I didn't see the weigh-ins. Haven't followed the fight week prior. Don't know what's going on with this. I hope the boogeyman, El Kukui, comes in here top game. I don't want to hear any shit when he walks into this octagon with T-City, Ortega, who I will guarantee you is top game. Ortega, for some reason, is much more stable and simple. It seems to be his personality. It seems to be his ability to just operate. He's not a world classer yet. He's on the cusp of being that. So the pressures of being a Holloway, being the next BJ Penn, being the Hawaiian gift, right? The newest, greatest for that nation. I don't think he has those kind of pressures. I think he's out in California. He's doing his thing. He's got his girlfriend, his wife, his kid, whatever. He's just killing it. I don't know if he has relationships. He has grown exponentially in the last 3 years. From when I watched him on Tough, and I was like, who is this guy? Because he's giant-chested. He's got a big V. He's got long hair. Sometimes he braids it. He wears the goatee. He's thick all around. He doesn't look great. He had like a loping stand-up style where he'd grapple with you. He'd do cage stuff, get you up against it, pressure you down, take you down, ground and pound, submit you. He's got like vice-like controls. You know, he's not Khabib, but he's close. He's got those kind of Khabib pressures and skills, and then he can slip shit on you. He can fuck you up with any kind of submission. He's brilliant. His fight knowledge and fight acumen and fight intelligence, ring intelligence are exceptional. Like John Jones skills or Anderson Silva skills, where they see everything, it's slow motion, they process it, they counter, they make a move, they grip. Fucking exceptional. So this is going to be a sick fight, and I swear to God, Max Holloway better come in healthy, and if he does, I don't know what's going to happen, because Ortega's striking has become exceptional as well. Not known to be a top-rated striker, doesn't have the fucking technique that Holloway does. And Holloway's not a power striker. He's a fucking, Diaz brother. Just throws and throws and throws. Throws, kick, throws. And he's, Conor McGregor-esque without the power. And I don't know how this fight's going to go. I don't know how to call it. I don't know if I'd call it. I don't know how to call Jędrzejczyk. Initially, on Joanna Champion, I'd pick her. Shevchenko's brutal. Shevchenko could fucking catch her, doodle her head, and smoke her in the first round. Could happen. I sort of want Joanna to win. I want Joanna to come back. I want her to have some comeuppance. I want her to... Dude, I love the Polacks. Oh, I'm Polish. Yeah. Mostly Irish. I love the Polacks. Fucking Polskis. Killing it. And you're Polak. Yeah, she'll wipe you up. Skinny, badass Polak. Yeah. Come on. I'd like to see her win. I don't know who's going to win with Ortega and Holloway. Don't know. I love El Kukui. He is the boogeyman. He comes and kills you in your fucking nightmare. Brian Ortega is exceptional. Brian Ortega gives me goosebumps. I don't know what he's going to be. Every time you see him, he's better. TJ Dillashaw. And a big man. I mean, he's bigger. He's a featherweight. You're talking 50s, 60s. He's bigger than TJ. I don't know, man. I don't know how this is going to be. I don't know how it's going to end up. I don't think Brian Ortega is going to stand there and let Max Holloway throw shit at his head. It's going to go to takedown. He's going to grapple. He's going to pressure him against the cage. He's going to try to drag him down. He's going to try to submit him. He's going to try to lock him up. He's going to try to get on his back. He's going to try to choke him out. Holloway's got good ground game. I think he's got good ground defense. Not exceptional. That's not his space. That's not his place. This is a stylistic matchup. Who the fuck knows? If they get Ortega in there and they tell him to stand and strike with Holloway, that's foolish coaching. Good skills, take that fucker down and choke him out. And if they get Holloway in there and tell him not to fuck around and stop all the takedowns, not to throw the kick so he catches your leg, not to maintain distance, right? Fucking, that's an error. They're compromising you. 5 rounds, dude. I think we're going to see it standing up throwing. I think we're going to see elbows. I think we're going to see knees. I think we're going to see takedown. I think we're going to see ground and pound. Elbows from the top down on Holloway from Ortega. Chokes. Arm bars. Fucking cranks. Oh my God. This is going to be one of your elite world-class bouts. So if you're not ready to watch this, if you don't want to watch this, if you're not prepared to watch this, if it's unavailable, I feel bad for you. Whatever the case, shame on you. You should be watching this with me at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you're gonna love it as much as I am. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm jazzed. I'm excited for these, and I'm playing the same game. I don't know if I'll buy them. I think I'll buy them. Who the fuck knows? But there's going to be fireworks. This shit's going to have highlight reels. There's going to be some sick fights of the night, some giant bonuses. And I think there's going to be some surprises. It's not, you're like, this guy's going to win unless this individual really shows up and it's a miracle. I think there's going to be some surprises in this, and then some, expectations that are met. These are sick fights, man. So I'm jazzed. I'm ready. I wish, an hour, 2 hours, I wish it was here. And then, we'd be throwing. Bring it on, bitches. We'll see. Maybe I'll meet you in the octagon. Oh!